Hello there. I show and tell, a little bit of show and tell. So, I have been talking about how I've been introspective and showing and sharing with y'all as a way for you to look inward as well. So, I want to share with you some of the tools that I have been introduced to, come to love, and they're all art centered, creativity centered. And over the years, I've had clients and friends who are like, well, I'm not creative. No, absolutely, everyone is creative. And even if you're an engineer, if you're a scientist, there is a creativity that comes along with that. So we are all creative. Now, some of my favorite tools and the things that I first got introduced to is journaling. In high school, my theater teacher, oh, God bless her, because she's absolutely impacted my life forever. And I think we're still Facebook friends. But anyway, I've certainly given her flowers. Okay, I've gotten a chance to give her flowers. So growing up, and I'm saying this from fresh memory because I recently went through one of my journals. I was doing a 30-day program, and it was asking questions, and it was asking questions about recalling the kind of person you were in high school. And I was sitting there writing, and it was something like, were you were you the hot girl? Were you the jock? Were you this? Were you that? Kind of like from an archetypal perspective. And I started writing all these kind of things. I was like, skirt, skirt, wait a minute. I still have my journals from high school. I pulled out my journal, and 2 hours later, because I read from cover to cover, and one word that I used constantly was the word discipline. Now, after studying astrology, and I continue to study astrology, I don't know any astrologer who says that they are done cooked. There's always in astrology something to learn, some system. So I'm always going to be a student of astrology, in spite the astrological knowledge I do have, right? So knowing what I know now and looking at the word discipline, and that word would be associated with Saturn. Saturn rules Capricorn, and in traditional astrology, it also rules Aquarius, which are the seasons that, as I'm recording this, we're ending the Capricorn season and about to enter Aquarius. So I have Saturnian energy in some major components of my chart, including my first house, where I was like, these kids aren't disciplined. I'm like, honey, you're in the class with them. So it was very interesting that the word discipline was throughout my journal and the observations I made, and that the observations I made about my peers and myself. I mean, there was some very, I'm looking back and I'm like, wow, I thought like this, including, I just have to say this really quickly. I recorded that some of my classmates and I were trying to find and figure out if one of our teachers was like having a break from reality. We were in my journal. I was like, we think he's out there, not weird, but like. And at some point of my journal, I decided to come back. I came back and I was like, I decided that we should just end this search. Who are we to try to figure out what this person's mental capacities were? So I do recall writing and journaling to my future self. And I find that I find that that's completely useful even as an adult. All right, so journaling is one of those tools. And there's a particular kind of perspective I like to journal from and journal about. And then there are different journals that I keep. The ranting stuff, sometimes I hate going back and seeing the things where I'm like ranting about something to get it off my chest. I don't necessarily want to read that and rehash it. So I started separating those. So the journals are my number one tools to work out like what's going on here. And I'm losing sunlight, but I like the ancestors and the lights in the background. So since I'm losing sunlight, let me get to it. My other tool that I love in the arts arena is collaging. Yes, collaging, right? We get to a certain level, and because the laws say, bing, you're now an adult. Well, the frontal cortex is a part of the brain that does not develop until age 24. So I won't go into all those details, but I will pull out. I was looking for my smaller size items. You don't have to go this big. And let me know if this is something that you kind of want to, you'd want to do together, or if you want me to do like a tutorial on it. Here is my notebook. Here is a notebook with collages. And so with these collages, this is a way of using language that's not spoken, using imagery as language. And maybe sometimes talking doesn't really get to the heart of it. I'm pulling this out because this is how I discovered what I was feeling as someone highly sensing, feeling the world, feeling people's emotions, feeling the energies around me, until I saw what the constant theme was from a series of pulling magazine pictures out and putting them together and kind of looking at it. So, yeah, I really wish I could find my smaller ones, but here's one. These are based off of after having a conversation and feeling like this feels like the world seems like something, and then getting at least three a minimum of three images and pasting them together so they overlap. Oh, this is interesting. Here's another one. That I put together. So, what is this? That one I was talking about. Oh, wait. Is that the... Yeah. Yeah. I remember I was going through... That was during a time when I had to move. There was a lot of things going on during that time. And including having had a sister friend who unfortunately passed by... I don't even know if I could say. I gotta look at the community guidelines. But, yeah, there was, that was a series of conversations. So you can see how putting together visual images can communicate in a way that words haven't quite caught up to expression. And perhaps you don't. Or when I looked in the back of the page that I wrote, I kind of bulleted out the things that I was saying, like sentences. Like, I feel like I can't get over this. I feel like this is, and I'm talking about the totality of that timing, not just my friend's passing, but just this kind of broken, this kind of fracture that I felt. And in the back, and and who was I talking to about that? We have certain people that we have certain conversations with, and we don't talk to everyone about everything. And hopefully, you have at least one person to talk to about something. This one is much, much larger. Oh my God, it's heavy. I actually did it in an art book. I'm trying to hold it so that the reflections. I know it's kind of hard to see it, but these pieces can be really big or they can be smaller. If I find my smaller ones, because at some point I started to upcycle when I used to get these. I used to get this subscription to this snack box company. And it's so funny how we just are taught to feel guilty about the stuff that we eat. But anyway, I was like, well, I'm going to upcycle the box. I did collages on the back of them. So if I find those, I'll bring those back. So in wrapping up, the couple of tools that I love to use to sort things out and learn more about myself and to review them. One is journaling, and the second one is creating collages using a minimum of 3 images that I just pulled from magazines and pulled them together. And but before pulling those images together, I kind of looked for the images like I intuitively set my course on something and flipped through magazines and pulled out like what that felt like, and then put that all together. Okay, I gotta keep checking to make sure this is green. All right, so I'm gonna wrap it at that. Let me know if I sit down and do a kind of tutorial and talk about the kinds of ways to really focus in on a concept or how to enter into a thought point, because we think back to 2020 or 20, whatever the years or whatever the thing is. Sometimes it's just in such a void, a large space, that to kind of pull it together and get a focal point might mean having a kind of dialogue or having some kind of prompt. So let me know if that's something that you'd be interested in, and I would set something up and record it. All right. Thank you for stopping by. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Until then, mwah, ciao.